Tomi, welcome to the World XP podcast. For those listening, I apologize for my voice. I've been yelling at my soccer teammates too much, Nick. So I've got a little bit of a scratchy voice, but that's all right. Tomi, why don't you do a quick intro for the people who are listening, kind of who you are and what you do. And actually, I'll preface that by saying this is member number three of the bass gang that we've got out of the four. So we just need to get Bobby, and we'll complete the cycle, I guess. Why don't you do a quick intro for the people, and then we'll get into the question from the last guest, and we'll just hop into it. I'm excited for the conversation.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for inviting me, man. I'm excited as well. I'm Tommy. I'm from Czech Republic, and I am a YouTube singer, musician, arranger, part of the bass gang that you already talked about. And my official job is web developer. And yeah, I do all sorts of stuff, but mostly I'm known for music.
Very nice. So, a question from the last guest. Sometimes I tell people beforehand that if they get hard ones or easy ones, I didn't tell you, but yours is in 20 years from now, what would you regret you didn't do in your career or life?
Oh, I guess that I wouldn't give a shot to like continuing with the bass gang, because like I definitely am glad right now that I did, because it panned out and so far we are going pretty well. But like if in the beginning we decided to end it after the first four videos, we decided to make it together, that would be a huge waste. So I'm glad we did that. That would probably be my biggest regret.
Yeah, that makes sense. You guys are doing, and I was talking with Peter about this as well. It's like you guys have morphed a little bit from obviously from acapella, and then the last kind of project you guys did had more instrumentation.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
guests that you guys are bringing on to do features and stuff is are getting bigger and bigger, and it just seems like you guys are having a lot of fun with it. So like for me as an outside observer,
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it as well.
Awesome.
How have you seen kind of the progression of the group since you guys met? So obviously, for those listening, it's the link for all their stuff will be in the description. But um, they went from an a cappella bass group. So and the whole story is with Peter and
Yeah.
Marwan as well. But from the progression of the group, from your perspective, what like how's it gone for you from going from a cappella to using instruments to different features and the video editing has gone up and you guys met up in to do some in-person stuff and then obviously Marwan wasn't able to be there. But like how has the progression of the group gone from your perspective and maybe where would you like to see it go?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, there's been a lot of different changes over the time that since we started basically. And like the first change was that we actually made our own channel, because we started with the four videos and released it on our um, personal channels that we do just our music on. And then we decided, yeah, to make it a whole another thing, like actually create an official group. And that was the first biggest step. And I think on volume two, which is like we do EPs every year, called "I Made the Bass Be With You," volume and the number of the sequence that it is. And I think the second year we did this volume, I decided to add some samples of different instruments, mainly percussion, to the song that I was arranging, which was Mad World. And it ended up being the most popular of the EP, if I'm not mistaken. So we thought, yeah, that there's probably something to it. And with as a musician, you usually want to evolve, especially like from my perspective. I find it really boring after a while if I'm doing just the same thing all over again. And yes, doing a couple of music and bass related music is super fun, and I really like it, and I think we are really good at it, and we still do that from now and then. But just building something new and trying new stuff and figuring out if you actually can do it is like the fun part for me, the challenge of it. So that's why I decided that when we did the last EP volume for last November, that for my song Valhalla Calling, we're gonna get my good friend Jirka from another vocal group that I'm part of, and here in Czech Republic. He also is part of a metal band, So I asked him to do some instrumental, some guitar, some drums for it, and I think it panned out really well because it is by far the most popular and the fastest rising song that we ever had. So yeah, that's probably the changes from the collaborators standpoint. It's I don't know. We usually just think about the songs that we want to do, and then we decide, okay, is this EP or this single gonna be collaborative work or not? We usually have that pre-planned, and we like to switch it up. So like one EP is just all of us, and then another one is with collaborators, and we switch that up like that every year. And we just pick the songs and then think like, okay, who would be good for this particular song? And we think of this person, and it usually has to be somebody that we have a reliable connection to get in touch with them, which became so much more easier with time since Bobby kind of blew up with his was it wasn't Misty Mountains, it was the other one, the Hoist the Colors,
Yeah, yeah.
and Peter with his podcast. So he talked to so many people in the industry. So he has a lot of context as well. So it became much more easier, mainly because of two of them to get in contact with these people and actually get them to collaborate with us. And sometimes it's a very enjoyable experience. Sometimes it can be a little bit frustrating because as a collaborator you don't have that much stake in the project than the people who actually do it, and so sometimes the communication can be more difficult. I'm not gonna name any names, but mostly it's gonna mostly it was really enjoyable experience and we learned something new from each of them. So yeah.
That's awesome. So for Valhalla Calling, I have to ask because I showed some of my friends the video, and then when you
Okay.
guys were not wearing shirts, everyone was very surprised audibly. Like, oh my God, they're not wearing shirts.
Yeah.
Um, whose idea was that? Or like what like where what was the idea behind that?
Well,
I'm not saying it was bad. But I had already seen it and it didn't surprise me. Like I was like, oh, okay, they're doing another video or whatever. And then when I showed
yeah.
it to they're like, oh my God, they're not wearing shirts. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess they're not wearing shirts. I didn't really notice that the first time.
Yeah, it's well, one idea was that we bought a certain like Viking looking shirt, the black shirt that we
Hmm.
wore each of the videos. We wore in like at least for part of the every single video from that EP. Sometimes we had like another like coat on it. Sometimes it was like a lot of filters. We mixed it up a little bit, but for this song, everything that you see except for these shirts was my idea how it's gonna look like. And I wanted us to get well, not naked but topless, to I don't know, give that like raw feeling of Viking testosterone power, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
And I had this idea in my mind because I was like, we are collaborating with Danny Brevik with Big Breath,
yeah.
and he's a massive guy.
Yeah.
So it's gonna look awesome. We're gonna like really try to like puff up or something. And then, then when I saw the finished product, I'm like, we all look like his kids. It's so embarrassing because he was like twice the size of all of us, maybe except Peter. So I was like, yeah, well, it was an idea, and I think it was a little bit different, and it threw people off. And I think those kind of ideas that maybe are not like like yeah, they're not super shredded or something, they're not models, so it's not like a perfect decision, but it's something that nobody expects, so it kind of stays in your head, so people remember that video, maybe even if it's just because of that. So I'm happy that we did it, but it was very fun.
Oh, they do. Yeah, yeah. Like I'll play it. I'll play it and like on the TV in the house sometimes. And my wife will be like, "Is that the shirtless video again?" I was like, "Yes, it is."
Yeah,
And the song is
yeah,
great, so play it
yeah, that's
again.
what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
No, it's good. It was good. The your vocals at the beginning as well, the like kind of rasp in the voice is like fits it in my opinion
Thanks,
super
man.
super well. Um if
Yeah,
there
I've
was
been
go ahead.
yeah, that I've been practicing that technique for a while before that because one of my friends that I found through doing music. He was a fan, and then we became friends. And he's really good at this throat singing, which is like the kind of Mongolian singing that they do with like really cultural significance for them, and it is still used a lot in beatboxing. And I was like, well, you can use it in like metal and stuff. So kind of practice that for it, and I think it panned out really well. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good fit. And I liked it a lot.
Thanks, man.
If you had to, if there was a direction that the group would go, or maybe that like that you think would be a good idea to try, what are some things that you guys are, I mean, if you want to give spoilers, we can do that too. But if there's things that like you guys want to try or are looking to try, like what are some of those things in your opinion?
Oh, well, from it's probably something else so than we tried so far, because like we did a lot with videos and songs that we released, and I think the next step that I'm most excited for, which is still pretty far, I think, just because of the complicated nature that it brings, especially with Marwan being in Egypt, and that is that we could do some live shows. And I really like performing live. It is just a completely different feeling to just doing music at home, and I would really like to try it with the guys. But yeah, it's really difficult since we are all over the world, and to get actually people to come to the show, you have to have a good and solid fan base, and some probably good manager for the tour that can get you the places, the venues, and get the marketing for it. So it's not as easy as it might look. And just because we have 100,000 subs, that doesn't mean that we can actually afford doing like a world tour or even a US tour or something. So uh, I'm really excited for that. But before that, we have to go through a couple of steps, and one is definitely meeting finally all four of us together,
Yeah.
even with Marwan, because last time he unfortunately couldn't come because his visa got rejected. So, and that is already in the works, and we know we are going to do it. And I don't know if I can say yet when that's going to be, but it's going to be pretty soon. We're all going to meet up, and we are going to do some fun stuff that people are definitely going to like.
There you go. Well, looks like we're gonna have to go kidnap Marwan and bring him out of Egypt.
Yeah,
I
we
was
are
a
joking about
serious
that every
people.
time.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
You
I
would like
wanna
that.
I wanna backtrack a little bit to like so what for school in Czechia, where like is it set up similar to the US where like how is this so the where I'm going with this question is like where did you start with the musical interest, but also the web design. Like, is music a viable interest in school, or was web design something that you're like, okay, well, I really like music, but I need to get my degree, so I'm gonna do this
Uh,
other thing, or like, how does it work there?
yeah. Well, my road to what I'm actually doing in my life right now to make a living is something totally different that I've chosen for my studies.
Mm-hmm.
It for sure works differently than in the US, because we don't actually pay for the universities. But I wanted to study audio engineering, so I wanted to be like a sound guy that, like, just does the sound for the show, mixes and everything. And it was because I had found a really big enjoyment in doing music. I already started doing some videos on my YouTube channel back in the day. It was like, what was it, 2017, I think, and I was doing already some videos for 2 years. So I wanted to know more about that, but I also knew that I don't want to go into like arts, because if my music would not pan out, I wanted something that actually can make money. So I wanted to combine tech and music together. So I went to audio engineering, and I found that, well, 90% of audio engineering is just engineering. And it was so boring. Like, there was so many like that basic stuff because it was on the like tech school, just a university that focuses only on tech stuff, and they have some curriculums that you have to pass through no matter what kind of type of study you chose. So I had to go through like analog technologies and electromagnetic measurements and stuff like that, and I just couldn't be bothered to pay attention to any of that because yeah, that was just wasn't my cup of tea. So I decided to leave the uni after 3 semesters, and because I was kind of I was a little bit persuaded by one of my friends to join him and his team to do financial advisory. I was young and pretty stupid, and I left my college because of that. And I ended up doing it for a year. I wasn't really good at it. It was really annoying and boring and out of my comfort zone. So I decided to stop with that and went to sell vapes, electronic cigarettes in a shop. So I became like just a normal retail worker, and I still kept doing music on the side. And during the time, I found the guys in the bass gang, and yes, it made some little bit of money. Not too bad to like considering my the state that I'm living in, because the average salary is definitely lower in here than it is in, for example, Germany or the US. Uh, but so it was good to keep me going along with my pay at my job. But then I was fired because of one stupid guy, and that was a really bad time because I remember I broke up with my girlfriend, and then the next day they fired me from my job, and the day after that my computer just stopped working with all my projects on it. I was like, well, yeah, that's my entire life in 3 days is gone. So yeah, I had to turn everything around, and one of my good friends that I knew since first grade, I think. He was doing web development in one of the local companies in Brno, and he he was talking with me, and he was saying that like, you dude, you got brains for like doing web development, and it's really easy to like find job and make money if you choose the correct language that is really profitable in the market right now. And I was like, what the hell? Like, I don't have anything to lose right now, so let's just see how it goes. So I spent like 3 or 4 months learning coding and web development, and the 5 months after I lost my job, I got another one in the same company that my friend worked at, and been there ever since. So, and still kept doing the music because it's mostly a hobby for me more than a job, because once it becomes a job, you feel that sense of responsibility that kind of breaks the enjoyment a little bit for me. So I still
Mm,
try to keep it as an enjoyable hobby mostly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you, when you were in like, I don't know if you would call it like grade school, and there, were you, were there like choirs or like other singing like music classes that you were taking before you went into university? Or like where,
Not
like how early did your parents sing, or did they do like where were you exposed to like music and musical kind of performance like when you were a kid, or
Yeah,
did it just come later?
that exposure came really early because my grandpa he played saxophone,
Mm-hmm.
and he played accordion, and he was really a talented musician. And my mom also danced and sang in different groups and a choir. So my whole family liked to like sing around the campfire, the usual stuff. So I was brought up with music, not probably like some people who have like really popular talented parents that do music for a living. That's something that our family doesn't really do, if I'm not mistaken. I cannot remember anyone who does a living with their music, but uh, I was really musically inclined from really early age, And but then, as usual as it goes with boys, after my voice changed, I stopped completely. I stopped playing piano, which I was learning to do since I was 7. I stopped singing, and I just stopped caring about music because as a teenage boy, that's just only gaming, girls, and defying your parents. That's the only three things that matter. So it took a while, maybe like until I was like 17 or 18 or something, that my mom actually persuaded me to join the local choir, and I found the spark in music again, and really started liking it, and found uh, YouTube acapella groups, Pentatonics, Home Free, and I really fell in love with that type of music and wanted to do it myself. So that's how it went. Yeah, it was there always somehow.
Gaming girls and defying your parents. Yeah, something like
That's
that.
yeah, that's the life of teenage boy.
Yeah. So, so when you started singing again, how long after that did you start making your own music on YouTube? Was that when you were in uni or like after that?
I think this was before that because I started with vocal range videos. I don't know if you ever seen a vocal range video,
Mm-mm.
but it's just a collection of clips for that specific person that the video is about or group, and you just put the clips of their specific notes that they are singing and show the notes and like when it's being sang on the screen, and you just go slightly lower and lower, and you show like showcase of their whole vocal range. And it was really popular back then, and there was this one guy, he was, what was his, Alberto Maracheschi, I think that was his name on YouTube, and he was the most popular one with with vocal range videos. I was like, I want to do that, so I started with that, and I gained some following, surprisingly, like maybe even like 1,500 subscribers or something,
Mm-hmm.
with just vocal range videos, and until I decided, like, okay, let's try to do some actual music. And it started with Peter Hollins.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was 2017, 2016, 2018, something in that range, and he did a competition on his YouTube channel, and he said, asked people to record their own version of his original song, uh, that I forgot the name of. It was like a Christmas song. I think it was called December or something like that.
Mm.
Oh, I don't remember exactly. And so it was his original song that he did, and he asked people to do the cover of it on in any style that they wanted, in any way, and send it over. And he's gonna do several prizes for the best ones that he's gonna get, and the one that wins is gonna win like a cover song with him, so they can do a song along with him. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
this is my chance. I gotta try it. I gotta
Yeah.
figure out how to tune vocals, how to edit, how to mix. So I did it, and it was so bad. But so I didn't win anything. But it was actually the first song that I listened to. I'm like, this is actually getting close to sounding like something that could be potentially released. So
Mm-hmm.
I learned a little bit more about it, and once I came to uni, I started. I found some people that actually do professional videos or are better at it than me, and I started doing more complex work, more professional videos and arrangements and mixing. And it started with the Song of Durin, I think, with my good friend Simba, that we are still part of the other group. Yeah, that's how it started. So it was like 2018 or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that 20 like 12 through 2018 time frame, like when Pitch Perfect came out, and then Pentatonics and Home Free and all these other ones, there was like a big explosion of a cappella
Yeah.
type music. And then I feel like now kind of it's like, okay, yeah, we get it. Everybody, you could do crazy things with your voice. And I feel like a lot of those groups are starting to go, well, not a lot, but not the biggest ones anyways, but some of the others are starting to, like yours, are starting to add in instrumentals again.
Yeah.
Um, well, although I will say, in terms of creativity and their arrangements, voice play is still for me like how they arrange their mashups and their songs is still amazing.
Yeah, they
Um,
have this different touch to what
yeah,
they.
they
Yeah,
do. And
yeah,
because everyone is different as well. It's not like
yeah.
not the same sort of formula. Um, were you learning English in school? Like, were you singing in English already by that time frame, or did that come? And the reason I ask is because
Mhm,
um, I before I was talking to Marwan, I found the cover of All Time Low that you and him did, and
yeah,
Mortius did a reaction to it, and in the reaction, he mentioned that he didn't hear your accent as much come through in the song, and I hadn't really noticed that or paid close attention to that. And then I went back to like look through some stuff to see if I could like pick it up, and I was like, oh
yeah.
yeah, I can hear the accent a little bit. Um, so was singing in English like a transition for you, or were you doing that from the be or like when did you start to learn? Well, I don't know.
Mhm.
I'll just leave it very open-ended, and you can tell me.
Yeah, English wasn't really a problem for me since I left high school
Yeah.
because there's a big emphasis on learning English even since I was a little kid. I think we started at when I was in third or fourth grade. We started having English lessons at school, and I think right now it's even from a second grade. I think they are thinking of pushing it to the first grade. That like they actually gonna start teaching English
Hmm.
to the first graders. So yeah, that wasn't that big of a problem. And since I was a gamer and I watched a lot of movies and YouTube videos, you just pick everything up. I watched a lot of stand-up comedians from the US,
Who do
so
you
I learned
watch?
a lot of that. Damn, there's so many. I watched. I studied on Louis C.K.
Oh, of course. Yeah, yeah,
Stuff
yeah.
like that. Yeah, he's a legend. And then Bill Burr,
Classic.
uh, Tom
He's a
Segura, he's
yeah.
great. Um, cannot think of any other. Oh, this the Scottish one. What's his name? Oh my god, he has like a big scary eyes.
Big scary eyes. Ricky
Uh,
Gervais?
no, no, no. That's he's English. This one is
Oh, he
Scottish. I
is.
cannot remember his. Daniel Sloth, I think.
I don't know if I've heard of him.
He's so funny. So yeah, I picked up a lot of different phrases and vocabulary from these. And since I started doing music with the other guys, we have to communicate only in English. So it became a second nature kind of to me. I sometimes caught myself, like when you just think normally and hear your like voice in your head. I
Yeah.
sometimes think in English. I'm like, okay, that's just normal right now. But I definitely still have a huge accent, especially when I'm speaking, because I'm still not used to do a lot of conversations with just in English. But singing is a little bit different because I have usually some references that I can turn to hear how the song should be pronounced and everything. So when I sing, I think I have much less of an accent than when I speak. It's just the nature of what it is. I don't know why, but that's what I think. Just because of the reference that I have.
Yeah. Is that something that you actively are working with, or you just sing? Because like I don't, it's not a good or bad thing. It just is. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like, but is that
it's just
something that
flavor.
you are like trying to do actively? Because the way that he made it sound in that reaction video was like, oh, he must have really been working on that. And I was like, I'm gonna ask him that when I talk to him.
No, I don't really work on it like actively.
Yeah.
I just sing, and it gets better with time. And I think even though I have a big accent when I speak, I think it was much bigger like 3 4 years ago. So it just naturally gets better since you have to use English nowadays more and more. Just communicating with basically half the people I know are English speaking, or they are from another country that nobody knows that language. So, but for example, still like Marwan
Hmm.
is his accent is super surprising to me because he almost has none,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
I don't understand how he does that because I think that Arabic or the Egyptian version of Arabic that definitely have some slangs and accents. I think is I think harsher than Czech. in its nature, just from the sounds that I heard. So to transition into English with such a seamless accent, it's really amazing. So props to Marwan for that.
Yeah, yeah. I've got, well, let me not say that. Um, so in terms of like arranging music and stuff, I like to ask all the musicians that I've had on like what their process is
Mhm.
because um I don't know if you recently these interviews with, do you know who Benny Blanco is?
I don't think I do.
He's this big like producer kind of ghostwriter in the US. So like
Okay.
Payphone by Maroon 5, he produced
Oh,
that. A lot of the Justin Bieber and
wow.
Ed Sheeran ones he produced like,
Okay.
and I had no idea who he was until like very recently. And he goes on his podcast and he's like, "Oh yeah, we produced like five number one songs in a week because I was bored and just like." He's like, I didn't even know how the software works, so they're all 120 beats per minute, and it's like, okay, so this guy has no idea what, but somehow he just has like the ear for it, and so like I asked Peter
Wow.
and I asked Marwan and Jen and like everybody,
Yeah.
and it's become like, what's your process for arranging? And all the time the answer is, well, it depends. It's like, well, yes, obviously it depends on the song and what it is that you're doing, but like in
Yeah.
terms of because there's some times where like if you're doing a cover you already have kind of the melody and the lyrics and then you've got to like put your own spin on it, but if you're making like an original, we had one woman on who wrote a whole symphony for a musical, and it's like, where do you
Damn.
even start with that? Because that's not one song, that's a
Yeah,
lot
it's
of
wild.
songs and transitions and all sorts of stuff. So like for you when you're arranging, and I asked Marwan this as well, especially when there's a video in mind, like how does your process work in terms of like maybe you don't start with the same thing every time, but there are certain
Yeah.
pieces that you can connect. Like for example, um, like this part of the video and this part of the like the bridge are connected, and so whichever one you start with, there's still a connection. Like, how is your process for arranging? Like, do you start with? Well, I'll just leave it there as well. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
because everyone is different, and it's super cool when
It's
you see
true.
like lots of cool music produced and everybody does it differently.
Yeah, which is probably the coolest thing about working
Hmm.
with other people doing music. Yeah, you'll learn so much stuff. But yeah, well, first of all, the video, like the video product, when itself, it comes the last. So you already have a whole arrangement and song finished when we start thinking about the video. But uh 95% of the time, the arrangement that I do does not like focus on lyrics at all. I'm just the type of person that enjoys music mostly for the musical aspect of it, the melody, the chords, the different notes, and how they cooperate with each other. And the lyrics come definitely last for me. That's why I'm so bad at writing originals, because any lyrics that I just come up with are so cringe. Like they work, but they are super cringe. So my I think to understand how I go about it, you have to understand first how my mind works, because I am super. The best way I could put it is pattern oriented. So that's why I always enjoyed math at school, why I do and I'm pretty good at web developing and programming, and I'm still enjoying it and learning new stuff, why I became obsessed with so many different like puzzles and logic related things. I just like thinking in like a this grounded way in some rules. So, for math, you have some axioms and some numbers and some functions and stuff like that, and you just work within that. And for music, people say that like art is different from all this technical stuff, because having logical thinking is not enough. You have to have this creativity in you if you want to like create something. And it's true, But I don't think that I have that much creativity. For me, it's mostly just recognizing patterns and putting them together and maybe like blending them together, transforming them into something different, but still based on the same rules. So, specifically for arranging, I've listened to so much a cappella music and like my history of listening to music, and all of them have some style of arranging, and they repeat. Of course, there is stuff that you hear in almost any other song. Just the most popular is the just usual ooh, and just do the oohs with harmony with other voices. That's probably the most common arranging pattern that you could call it. And but there is so much more, and when you listen to it, your ear catches it. And for me, I just got it saved somewhere, and when I arrange, I start with the melody, just the melodic line, and try to picture it in my head, like how it would sound with different patterns that I have saved in my head from listening to the music, and how could I could incorporate it together. And sometimes the pattern wins and kind of changes the melody with it to fit the pattern. Sometimes the melody wins and I have to fit the pattern to the melody. And it's just this different game of trying to figure out new stuff. And that's one of the reasons I like more arranging in sheet music than, for example, when Marwan does it, he just usually just records it just on the go, or does like a MIDI session. But I like to write it down because you can write all the notes and then maybe shift a couple of them, split them into two, make it a different rhythm, and it's super fast. Not like when you actually record it, you have to just delete it and do it again because it would sound really bad if you would try to edit it somehow.
Yeah.
So for me, it's faster and I can experiment with more stuff. But yeah, that's the process I have, and it's hard to. I already tried to teach it to some people. I thought about like making a tutorial video or something on how I approach arranging, but the most I ever did was do like a live stream of arranging one of my songs. I think it was Sweet Dreams, and it was super long. It usually just takes a long time, and it's really boring because you just try different stuff and see what works. Yeah,
Yeah.
so with time you get much more faster at it, much more experienced, and it comes much easier to you. But that's also the problem. And
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons that I don't do music on my own channel that much anymore. Well, to be fair, I haven't done a song in almost 2 years, and it sucks. But the thing that I talked about, that's the reason why, because I've made so many arrangements and songs that I just ran out of ideas, like of new things to do,
Uh-huh.
just specifically for the acapella part of it. And I have no idea where I would begin with like instruments. I definitely would need other people to help me with that. And when I just write an arrangement and it's the same thing that I've already done in like three other songs, I'm like, I cannot release this. Like, this is something I've already done. I know that people don't care and they would love it. And they're like, why does it matter that it's this, like, this part of the arrangement is the same as in this song? But I care. And it's just so frustrating to me.
Here, we can I'll try and clip this and then you can send it out to everybody and then they can tell you that they love all your music and then you'll have to put something out.
I know. I know.
Is that how
Yeah.
the internet works? I don't know. I guess so. I think the
We
live stream
try.
idea would be good though. If you run out of ideas and you live stream stuff and then people can give you ideas and you can try stuff. That might not be
Possibly.
that might not be a bad idea, especially because like I don't know how the sampling works. Like when I was
Mm.
talking to Peter, he mentioned there's this oh, I'm gonna butcher the name. Some sort of like plugin where you can get all these percussion samples from, and I'm sure there's similar for like guitar riffs and other things like that.
Yeah.
Um,
There's
but
tons of libraries that you can download
yeah,
or buy.
well, if you do a live stream or whatever, maybe that's a. a base gang idea. You do like that way you can get a lot of people in there, do some sort of live stream and put something together. And it doesn't even have to be the full
Yeah,
song,
yeah.
right? You just need one spark from that, and then all of a sudden you can go, you or whoever can go
Yeah,
off and do
I'm
something.
so
So
critical though. Like when it comes to my own music, I am such a huge critic, much bigger than anyone else that
that's
ever
a good
like
thing though. That's
put
such a
any
good thing.
suggestions.
You know why it's a
I
good thing
think
though?
to a bigger extent that it's not good anymore.
Well, but then in terms of like the internet and people being rude in the comments or whatever, not that you guys get a lot of that, but like the internet is filled with insane people. And so if
Yeah,
you like if you're your own worst critic, nothing that anyone else says can bother you.
true,
And that's a
true. Yeah,
super positive thing, especially when you're putting out some level of self-expression like music or like for
yeah,
these, I don't even watch them back because I probably like every time I used to watch them back and then I would start kicking myself like, "Oh, why didn't I ask this or why didn't I ask that?" And then I would get in my own head about making sure I asked everything. And so then I stopped.
yeah.
And so it's like obviously this is different than music,
Get it.
right? There's no editing and there's no polishing and mixing and mastering and whatever, but like to some extent you got to have the same similar sort of like I think this is
Yeah.
good, pencils down, air quotes pencils down, oof.
Yes, you
And
just
then
have
it
to have
goes.
the hard stamp on it. Yeah, approved
Yeah,
and
approved
gone.
and off you go. Or have somebody that you trust as well, like do it. Um,
Yeah, I know. It's just that was much easier before because there was so many things to explore. It just I came to just a path that I cannot cross because yeah, I think I tried everything and it's even not even that fun anymore because I would be doing something I've already done and the aspect of discovering something new and learning something and experimenting is what was the most fun about it. Yeah.
are you talking about acapella specifically?
Yeah, a couple of specifically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I was gonna say there's definitely more music than
Oh
that
yeah.
out there,
Oh
for
yeah, but
sure.
I think it's a bit too late for me to learn any instruments.
Oh,
I
stop it.
tried.
Oh,
I
stop it.
tried.
All right, well, I'm not gonna try, but the internet can help you with that. You can get a library and you can do stuff. All right, I'm not gonna try and
True,
convince you
true.
anymore. It's your own life. I should
No, no,
like,
no. Yeah, yeah. I'm still planning on doing more music, but I just have to add that kick and pick the right song, and I think it's just gonna start me up again. And of course, it's not the only reason, like because it's been 2 years since I found like new job, and I have much less time now than I had with my previous job. So it's
hmm,
very difficult to find the time to do my own music. Even with the bass gang, we are much more focused on doing our music more regularly, and that takes time as well. So I have to make priorities. Yeah.
yeah, no, for sure. I got you. My time, I also don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
And time management. Okay, so actually, we can get into that a little bit. How do you manage your time? Do you do like do you block off chunks of time for music, or like how do you prioritize, and how do you keep a schedule? Like how do you go about your all your different priorities and making
Yeah.
sure that you don't drop the ball in any of them?
I was always really relaxed person, just like with my time management. I never kept a tight schedule and like everything planned down to the last hour, like half a year ahead. I just go usually with the role. I have some stuff that is of course planned, some concerts that we have to, ask for a couple months ahead, or if there's like a doctor's appointment, or I have to go to the dentist, or you have to go to the repair shop. So this kind of things, of course, I have planned, but and doing your taxes, which which is pretty recent one, that was a bummer, but yeah, that's something I am really different from my girlfriend because we are kind of the two sides of this. Because I'm really relaxed about my time schedule, and she really likes to have a tight schedule and everything sorted out, and planned. So I think that's a good match from this point of view. But yeah, it's to make sure that I am focused on everything and I give everything as much time as it needs is something I just go b- how do you say, like by the ear, or just try to navigate
You
however it,
you
it
wing it?
comes to you. Yeah, you just wing it. Yeah. And it usually works out. I have a good sense for it, I think, and I know how much time I can afford in different areas. But that's something that people have a lot of problem usually with, because you hear this all the time. People complain about like, I don't have enough time for this, and I have to sacrifice my sleep or something, or just like huge problems with time management. And it's usually because they don't know how to sort out their priorities, because they want to do too much stuff, or they don't know what to do, what to pick, and it's then hard to fit everything in and make time for everything that you need. So you have to have the priorities, and if it comes to that, you have to make sacrifices to find the time to do everything properly. Because if you try to do everything and you do it just like a half measures, that's like doing nothing.
Yeah.
You might as well just stay home and do nothing.
Yeah. I find that also like people that I know, like I don't have enough time, but it's because they spend a lot of time trying to decide what they want to do. And if they just made the decision and did it, then they might
Yes,
have some more time.
exactly. Yeah.
I do that
This
too. I'll be like, I have
this
1 hour.
process.
It's like not enough time. Maybe it's not enough time to go to the gym, but it's also not enough time to do this other thing. And so I spend 10 minutes trying to decide. And then by the time I decide, it's definitely not enough time.
Yep.
And then I have to
Yeah,
do something else instead. Or I just sit there. No, that's not true. I don't usually do that. Um,
yeah. Even not making a decision is a decision.
that's for sure. And that's something that I think people, once you figure that out, then everything else becomes a little bit easier because then you're like, oh, I
Yep.
haven't I haven't made a decision yet. It's like, no, you have. You're just not deciding, and that's the
Yeah.
decision that you've made.
Exactly.
Um, how this is kind of slightly different gear, but I always ask people that are not from the US this question, which is like, how
Hmm.
do you view the US slash happenings in the US slash the world? And I'll leave it very open-ended because I've heard a lot of different answers and a lot of different takes on it, so I don't want to lead you anywhere. But what is your take on like generally how do people view the U.S. from well you as well? But like how does that like what's the
Yeah.
vibes?
Yeah. Well, I am. I'm not a person who studied any like history or politics or anything. So the only information that I have is from the videos and podcasts that I watch, and that's probably something that a lot of people don't know about me. But because I don't usually brag about it, but I spend a lot of time watching different podcasts and some streamers and stuff like that who talk about social and political issues in especially in the US, because nowadays everybody on the internet is from the US. That's just how it is. And so I have a big overview and a lot of different information I got from those people. But that's the problem. Sometimes you don't know if it's actually true, because I don't have that much time to watch those videos and then afterwards go do my own research and actually find out if what I learned is true. But some stuff that I heard is just like so open and shut. It's just so out there, like on the eyes to the eyes of everyone, that you don't even have to do a research to just like look and see what's happening.
Hmm.
And right now, it's really bad. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. From what I've seen from the US, you guys are not on a good track, in my opinion. And it didn't really so far like influence me or like have any impact on my life that much, because like what happens in US usually happens just in the US. But with everything going on, like for example the new tariffs and the trade war and a lot of the different threats, from what I heard from Trump statements, it could very easily start influencing my life, just affecting everything around me. The war in Ukraine as well, because the the outcome of that war is gonna determine a lot how the relation between the surrounding countries around Russia is gonna look like. Uh, and we are one of those countries because there's only like Slovakia and Poland between us and Ukraine, so it's not that far. So when that war started, we it was very it wasn't a good feeling. It's still, not in our country, so we weren't that like panic, like what's gonna happen? Are we gonna get bombed? Is it the second Soviet Union and everything? But uh, it started worrying us a little bit, and I think everybody got more invested, and that's maybe one of the reasons we were really welcoming, like as a our political stance of our country in the EU to the refugees from Ukraine, because we were in a similar spot in the back in the from like the 60s until the start of the 90s or end of the 80s, when we are occupied by Soviet Union. So there it's still fresh in the memory. And when you hear some statements from the White House that I've heard, especially towards Ukraine and Zelensky and everything, you get a little bit nervous that if the biggest ally from the military and tactical standpoint is saying stuff like that, if you can count on anyone really, and what that means for your future. So but that's something to think about for the leaders of our countries and of the EU. And I just watch what's happening and maybe form some opinions, but I don't spew them usually anywhere. I don't even talk about it with my friends, especially like when it comes up, which is very rarely.
Hmm.
uh, and just keep informed. And maybe if something happens, or something like the invasion of Ukraine is about to happen, it's good to have some kind of view. And maybe if you expect it a little bit, or there's something happening and potentially happening, you prepare and you make some measures, to move or something. If I hope, but God, it never happens. But if just some war starts or something, that you need to be ready, and you need to have some kind of overview that it's a possibility that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably my very strict view. Yeah, I could go to more detail, of course, because I've seen so much stuff. There is every week there is something new from the US that comes up, which I'm like just like, how is this happening? And half of the country is still like good.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, that would happen in here, and you would probably never see that person again in politics.
Well, interesting. What about like culturally? Because there's a whole bunch of different things that,
Yeah,
well, that, like yeah, I don't know, right? Like we have the U.S. I think people in the U.S. generally speaking have a very U.S. centric view of the world, and
that's
that
true.
is there are other countries that exist, obviously.
Yeah,
So
that's a lot of fun videos about that.
yeah, 100%. Who are some of the people that you watch, the like videos or podcasts or streams that you watch that you
Oh
mentioned
man.
before?
Oh, there's a bunch. Like I whatever comes on my, I guess, YouTube feed.
Uh-huh.
Because I don't usually subscribe to people. Well, not anymore. There's definitely I have a lot of channels that I subscribe to, but I don't even know what they are. I usually just go by what's on my feed, and that can be from all sorts of channels. I know that I remember back in, damn, it was like 2020, 2019, when the kind of big, no, it was even before that. I don't even remember that well, but the there was that big surge of this like right side of the political spectrum media that came out, the podcasts, the streamers. I don't. You probably know a lot of these, like Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder, like all these started
Yeah,
popping
yeah.
off.
Yeah.
The Change My Mind segment, I remember that one, and I watched the shit out of that. Like my young mind was kind of pulled into that sphere. I was like, this is so epic, all these videos of like roasting liberal college kids and all this. It was very fun. And then I became a huge fan of Jordan Peterson when he still became popular.
Yeah.
Oh, those were the times, yeah. And then after a while, I kind of stopped watching all these videos, and I found another channel. I don't know if you heard about it. His name is Destiny. He's like a
Yes,
political
I do know
streamer.
who that is.
Yeah, and I watched him for a long time. I still watch some of his videos, and like from his kind of algorithm of his channel, it like branched down to sorts of all sorts of different channels that like do similar stuff. From top of my mind, if I can remember, there's a Pisco, there is Hutch, he's called, there is Papagat, I think his YouTube channel. There's a lot of different people who talk about like social and political issues in the US. And also sometimes I watch the British guy, what's his name, Piers Morgan,
Yeah, yeah.
Uncensored Show. Yeah, because
That's a
he's
good
not
one.
not all the time I agree with like how it's handled and what's happening there, but it's not bad. It's not bad. And I try to have sources from all different places. So yeah,
Yeah, you
that's
named a good mix for sure.
yeah.
And Piers does a good job having people from all sorts of different perspectives on his show. Um,
Yeah,
that
tries
it
to.
does a good job, I think, kind of showing different viewpoints. Um, you mentioned earlier that you're a gamer. What kind of games do you play?
Oh no. I am. Let's yeah. It's a. You could. My girlfriend would say it's an addiction that I have. And yeah, sometimes it's probably not the best, but my favorite game of all time is definitely Elden Ring. Once
Mm,
that came out, I remember for the first 2 days when I played it. I never played a Souls like games before, so it was my first. And the first 2 days, I hated it. I didn't know what the hell I'm supposed to do. I was dying like on every other second, and then I kind of became familiar with it, and I played the shit out of that game. I think I have like 1,300 hours on that game.
oh
I
my,
finished it like 10 times or something, played all different mods and shit. And yeah, it just became an obsession. But yeah, that's been a while. Well, I stopped after like finishing the DLC twice. And so yeah, that's been a while. And now I play this game from my youth when I was like 11. Me and my brother played a lot of Nostale. I don't know if you know
mm-mm.
that game. It's like a anime style MMORPG,
Okay.
and it's like from this like third person point of view, but from like above, something like League of Legends,
Uh-huh.
but
Yeah, yeah.
it's definitely different mechanics than League of Legends. And uh, I played the hell out of it when I was a kid. But the big problem about the game is that it is really hard pay to win a game.
Oh,
And
those are the worst. I hate when games do
I
that
know,
now. They're like, oh
I
yeah, you
know,
got to pay $5 here or $1 there, or if you
yeah.
don't pay this, you can't unlock this other thing, and then you just sit there and either you have to become very good at the game to overcome that, or you just stop playing.
Exactly, but that was here always. Like this game is like over 20 years old or something. So it was there even back in the day. And because I was a kid, I didn't have any money. So I couldn't really play the game to its
Yeah.
fullest. And the game wasn't really at the point that it had that much content to offer back then. But I remembered it like a half a year ago, and I was like, let's try it again. Like it definitely wasn't that hard. Like, come on, I must have like false memories. And I started with my brother again, and we've been playing ever since, like from January. And I'm still playing it, and I've put so much money into that game.
Oh, we
It's
won't tell
not
anyone,
good.
don't worry.
It's not good. And but I stopped now because I think I got into the point in the game where you can actually make a good amount of money, the in-game money, by just playing.
Yeah.
That's the worst part about it, because it just doesn't offer reliable sources of making in-game money until you are pretty high level. And I think I got there recently. So I think I stopped with the money laundering in this game.
Money.
It's not good. It wasn't had a good effect on my relationship and everything, but it is just so addicting. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I love going
and
back to old games. Like, I don't, do you know what Age of Empires is?
I heard about it and I've
Yeah.
definitely seen it, but I've never played it actually
Yeah.
myself.
Age of Empires 2 was made in like the 90s and is still popular. Like, I still play it sometimes. Um,
Nice.
I'm not that old, but it was around for a little while. But yeah, yeah, like going back and finding old games. Like I did it recently with like Super Mario Strikers was the soccer game that was came out on GameCube back in like 2005 or whatever. And you get like this emulator and you can play and it's got a Discord overlay. So when you were like, "Oh, do you have Discord?" I was like, "I only use it for this one thing and I couldn't even tell you what my username is." It's like I don't know. But yeah, no, it's like going back and finding old games is super fun. It gives you like a level of nostalgia, especially when you can play with your brother or like reconnect or something like that. It's a good kind of, I don't know. I think gaming, well, I don't know. Game is fun. It is what it is. It's
Yeah,
fun.
it's like sports, but
Yeah.
you are actually not moving. But yeah, it's just fun. It's a hobby, and it can be addicting, like everything else that brings joy to your life.
Yeah.
But
Is there anything else that I haven't asked you that I should have?
oh man, well, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe some other hobbies that I have besides like uh music.
Sure. What
But
are those?
oh man, what I'm gonna show you this puppy. These puppies.
Ah, the Rubik's cubes.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't done them in a while, but that was also one of the big hobbies that I had. I was so obsessed with it, and I even went to like two different tournaments or competitions, and it wasn't that bad. I of course didn't win anything. Some people are just insane at it, but I got it down pretty well. I think my record was like 9 seconds or something for the 3x3, and
We have 9
it
seconds.
was just. I don't think I'm gonna be able to do 9 seconds right now. I don't even know if I remember how to solve it anymore. It was a while, but I can try. I might fail though, pretty horribly.
That's all right. We'll take it out. We won't show anyone.
We'll see. Okay, how does this start before?
Show the
So
camera.
oh
There
yeah.
you go. Oh, you can tell it's used. Some of the paint or like the stickers are gone.
Oh yeah,
They're
it
half off.
was I solved this at least like a couple thousand times. That's the first two layers. Okay, I still kind of remember. Okay, good. I still got it.
30
Damn.
seconds.
It's like riding a bike. It's a muscle
Yeah,
memory because there's so many algorithms you have to know, and I don't remember them. If you ask me like what is algorithm for this particular permutation, I wouldn't be able to write it down. But when I see it and I have it in my hands just do it because I've did it so many times.
that's insane. I never got into the Rubik's Cube stuff. I would always pretend like I knew, and then I would just, oh, I'm not gonna do it today, and I would go
Yeah,
somewhere else. Oh, that's funny.
it's fun.
Do you have well, I guess we did kind of talk about what's next for you and like the music stuff, but do you have any, I guess if you had to like wave a magic wand and everything went perfectly for the next like 3 to 5 years or whatever, where are you at? Where's the bass getting at?
Whew. Well, the perfect thing that could happen, I think, is that sometimes during the next year we would make a video with the Mace King that would actually like blow up, like the level of Hoist the Colors that Bobby made blow up, like
Yeah, yeah.
something that would get millions of views within a few months, and we would get tons of new fans and everything, and which would bring us to the point that we could actually get like good team behind us and start maybe touring and doing live shows and just hanging out together and maybe just doing more music with each other. And that would of course mean that I would have to leave my job, which I really like to do and I really enjoyed it too. But like still the primary reason I'm doing that job is of course to make money, because you have to make money. But even if I would get a job that would give me more money, I would still stay in the firm that I'm working at currently,
Hmm.
because it's a great environment, everything. But there's one thing I would prefer more than this, and that would be making doing music with the bass gang full time. That's the only thing that could make me leave.
Yeah.
And of course, that my relationship would go great, that I would get married, that we would have a couple of healthy children, and yeah, that would be the perfect combination of things that could happen in the next 5 years. But we'll see. Hopefully, at least like most of the things that I mentioned happen.
Yeah, if you get like a, I don't know, 80% success rates, or
Yeah,
that
I
would
would
be
be
good.
happy. I'm already happy, but
There you go.
there's still more to strive for, to achieve. It would be really boring if I didn't have anything to aim for.
That's true. That's a good, I think I want to emphasize that because I think that's a very important thing because there's always goals to achieve. And when you
Yeah,
achieve them, sometimes you feel lost because you're like, oh, okay, I did this thing. Now what? And it's like you have to find new
yeah.
goals, new goals always to kind of be aiming for. So
That's
I
what I
think that,
usually think when I hear the stories from like the media, about like celebrities that like so many celebrities have these do these illegal things
hmm.
and do a lot of drugs, and there's a huge suicide rate in, I don't know if I can say that.
Yeah, yeah.
I know how YouTube is usually with these, but yeah, among celebrities, and I think mostly it's because like you just get most of the things that you want in life. You get fame, you get money. With money, you can get everything that you actually want and can buy with money. You usually are good looking because you are a celebrity, and you can take care of yourself and do a lot of different changes.
Or get
So you
plastic
probably
surgery.
don't have
Yeah.
problems, yeah, with like your sexual life. And most of the time, they have other people to like have a relationship with. So like, what can you really aim for, And that's when the drugs and stuff like that became appealing, because that's the only next step that can make you happier for a while. So I think, yeah, that's probably the reason that it's pretty miserable for a lot of people to become celebrities. I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to be like really really famous. I don't think
No.
I would be able to handle that. It's too much pressure.
Be careful what you wish for, my friend. You go on live tour and then all of a sudden, and then all of a
It
sudden,
seems like kind of small in a way that people sometimes recognize me on the street. I wouldn't mind it, but like
yeah,
to
happy
have my
medium.
face plastered, everything like I don't know, like Taylor Swift or something. I would nah. That would
No,
be
no, that's too
way
much.
too much.
That's too much. That's too much.
Yeah.
All right. Well, any last nickels before we get you out of here?
Sorry, you just lagged. I didn't hear what you
Any
said.
kind of like last thoughts before we get you out of here?
Last thoughts. Well, I would just say to people, just if you're miserable, then you are the first person that you should be coming to figure out what's wrong and do something about it, and do not rely on anybody else. I think which is not really true. I don't mean like that. Like you have to be, of course, rely on other people, but I think the most confidence, the person with the most confidence you have in should be yourself, and I think that can push you further than you think. That's my mantra of the day.
Yeah, very well said. For those listening, we'll put all the links in the description as always. Um, thank you for
That's fine.
listening, and we will see you guys next time. Peace.
See you guys.
Thanks for tuning in to the World XP podcast. If you want to watch another episode like this one, click there. If you want to subscribe, click there.